There are many people who influence a child and the person that they become. No one has the potential to do so more, in my opinion, than a grandmother. Grandmothers provide guidance, wisdom, and insight. They give advice based off a lifetime of experience and provide an exponential amount of love and support. While many people can say that they had the best grandmother, I am proud to say that I had the grandmother that topped them all. In this speech, I would like to give tribute to my grandmother, Irene. When I was young, my sisters and I would spend a lot of time at my grandmother's house. We would play in her backyard, right next to her satsuma orange trees and her lemon trees. In the summertime, she would fill up a kiddie pool and she would let us swim in the water, even though she said she was always scared because we would constantly put our heads under and try testing each other who could hold their breath the longest. I also remember spending quite a lot of time watching television with her. She was a fan of Bob Ross and The Lawrence Welk Show. When she would watch The Lawrence Welk Show, she would always marvel at the music and remark on the dancers and recall how she used to dance back in the day. We would love to hear her stories, especially when she spent time in Washington working with the Navy during World War II. It was one of the reasons I chose the Navy as my branch when I decided to enlist in my high school years. Another thing that I always remember about Irene is her gardening. She had the best garden that you would ever see. She had hydrangeas that were so huge. They were all in different colors too, blue, pink, even a few like purple ones. And she would use those hydrangeas and her ferns and all sorts of flowers to make her flower arrangements for her church. And they would be the most beautiful arrangements that when my sisters and I saw them, we would always tell her that when we got married, we would want her to do our flowers. And another thing that she would used to do is art. She was a very big artist, and she inspired my sisters and I. Her greatest artwork was her flowers, which again she would paint. And when we would compare her work to Bob Ross, we would always say, "You're so much better than him." But she was always very bashful and said, no, that's not true. But I could tell that she felt very happy when we complimented her. Another thing that is very special to me is remembering her cooking. She made the best sourdough bread, and when you would smell it baking, you just felt loved. Every year for our birthdays, Irene would make our favorite meals, our favorite dishes. Wine, Vidalia onion pie, which I have tried many times to recreate and still haven't mastered yet. Sourdough bread, of course, and her special deviled eggs, which by the time the meal was done, all the food was gone. When I think back to my grandmother, I remember her telling me about her time in the Navy. Well, she worked with the Navy, as I said, but it's very special to me and I wanted to bring it up again because she would write to me in boot camp. And it gave me an immense amount of support and comfort while I was very young and never had been away from home yet. And I think that's something that grandmothers do. Something that only they can very much provide for an entire family. Because many of the times that my sisters and I were over at Irene's house, she was providing a safe space for us. So my mother and my father could work and do errands and not have to worry about us. Many times she would just have us over for dinner just so my mother wouldn't have to cook after a long, hard day of work. And I think that grandmothers give so much of themselves to their children, and especially their grandchildren. And Irene was no different. She was someone who gave all of herself to everyone and gave the most love and support to everyone who needed it. And I would like to one day be the same way to my own children and my grandchildren. Sorry, getting a little emotional, but when I joined the Navy, it was my proudest moment to send her my pictures of when I graduated. And I hope that one day I'm able to see her again and know that I made her proud. Thank you.